Welcome in, everybody. This week's video is going to discuss your final project here for Fundamentals of Television. You guys have learned an awful lot over the last 13, 14, 15 weeks, and this project is really going to tie everything together. So the first thing you'll want to do is you'll want to go to the equipment room. You'll get all of the necessary pieces of equipment to shoot every single aspect of what we're going to be talking about for this day in the life of a student here at Specs Howard. So once you grab all your gear, make sure to check all of your equipment. Make sure that everything works. Make sure your top light works. Make sure that your microphones have batteries. Make sure that your XLR cord works. Anything and everything. Never leave home base without all of your equipment working properly. And if something is not working correctly, just tell the production coordinator or your instructor, and they'll make sure to take care of that as quickly as possible. Now, getting on to the project itself. First thing you need to do, best practice, what you would usually do in a setting like this, do your interview first. Do your interview first because it's important to hear what that person is going to say. Once you get that interview, you'll know where to go and shoot your B-roll, what kind of shots you need to get, etc., etc., etc. So set up your interview shot, get something that you think looks really good, but don't forget about all of those camera basics. Don't forget to white balance. Put the white balance in front of your person's face, not directly in front of the camera. You're not going to get true white balance if you do that. Don't forget to get focus on the subject, not the background. If it's possible to get a nice little depth of field situation going on, do that as well. Don't forget your iris. Don't forget your neutral density filters if you're doing these outside. If that's an option, that's going to be some great natural light. It's going to look really, really cool if that's a thing you can do. In regards to shot composition, don't forget these are over-the-shoulder shots that you'll be getting. You will not have your interviewer in the shot at all. With an OTS shot, with an over-the-shoulder shot composition, you want 4 main aesthetic goals to keep in mind. You want proper headroom, room for lower third, proper look space, and a relevant background. And don't forget, you do not want your interviewer in the shot at all. You don't want to see any shoulder, you don't want to see part of their head, you definitely don't want to see their face, you don't want to see microphone. It is all about the interviewee, it is all about the subject and what they have to say. Once it's time to mic up your talent, you are going to use a lavalier microphone. Don't forget to dress the mic, as we've talked about so extensively in this class. You don't want to just have the cord hanging out down in front of their chest or on their stomach. Make sure that you run it up underneath a shirt or hide it behind a vest, jacket, tie, whatever. You know, again, you're going to be using this lavalier microphone, and the whole idea is to kind of create the illusion that there is no mic. So you want to make that look as good as possible and hide it as much as possible. That said, you don't want the mic itself underneath clothing. You don't want the mic itself rubbing against something where it's going to create a lot of extra noise. It will still have to be out and pointing in the general direction of your interviewee's mouth and where their sound waves are going out towards. So now that your subject is all mic'd up and you have just a beautiful background, start asking those questions that we gave you in class. Those questions are a nice start and they will really help things go in the right direction here for this project. However, don't be scared to ask some follow-up questions. If somebody says something really interesting, don't get married to those questions where you're just peppering your interviewee with question after question after question. Ask them to expand. And along those same lines, don't forget, if you are being interviewed, please restate the questions and paraphrase the question. What's your favorite class and topic so far? Is it radio boards, cameras, editing?
It has to be radio production.
As soon as your hand hits the door, what are you thinking and where do you go?
Okay. As soon as my hand hits the door, I'm ready to speak.
So if somebody asks you, how do you get to Specs Howard every morning? As a interviewee, you would say, every morning I get to Specs Howard by taking Telegraph North for 45 minutes, or, you know, however you get to Specs Howard. But the paraphrasing will be critical when you start cutting these things together in your editing class. You'll see that very soon. And another aspect of interviewing, shooting interviews, or even if you're the reporter, if something starts to go wrong, or you realize that the mic doesn't sound right, or maybe your interviewee isn't giving you those complete sentences, just stop. Start over. It's not a huge deal. What you guys are shooting is not live. You've got plenty of time to take care of things. And man, I can't tell you how many times I've been out in the field where something just wasn't quite right, or you just didn't like the way things were going, where you just kind of stop, call a quick timeout, and then start over. There's nothing wrong with that, especially as you guys as students and students that are just getting started in this type of thing. It's okay to start over, no big deal. Once the interview is actually over, you and your teammates will put your heads together and you'll start to figure out the B-roll that you'll need to shoot. Be as creative as possible. Go over step by step what the interviewee said, maybe where they come from, who they speak with, what their general path is, and you'll sit down and you'll start to figure out, let's shoot this here, let's shoot this, I want to shoot this, I want to shoot this, I want to shoot this. And you'll just slowly go down that B-roll list, and you'll be imagining covering that interview with all of these great shots, great creative, well white balanced, well in focus shots that you're going to go through and take care of. So while you and your team are brainstorming and starting to figure out the types of shots you want, it's important for you to stay on task and not really get off target. It's easy to do. You're together, you're having a good time, you're having fun, you're in a creative environment. It's pretty easy to start talking about other things, your fantasy football team, whatever it may or may not be. Keep in mind to stay on task as much as possible. Once you get out and you start shooting the B-roll, don't just shoot 10 shots. Don't just shoot 5 shots. Shoot as much as possible. And honestly, as a field shooter, one big thing that I try to do is shoot multiple angles or multiple sizes of the shot. So if I know that I need to get a shot of Specs Howard's sign, I'll shoot it from straight on, I'll get a close-up, I'll get a wide shot, I'll shoot it from a different angle, I'll shoot it from a Dutch angle maybe. And while on the subject of B-roll, keep in mind that this is a busy place. People are going to be in and out of your shot, and that can be a little annoying at times, but don't worry about it. Wait for them to come and go, and you'll be okay. Also, honestly, sometimes people doing stuff in your shot is optimal. You know, if you're talking about busy classrooms or the hustle and bustle of the lunchroom, you're gonna want to get that. However, sometimes you're gonna have to recreate your own B-roll. You'll have to do a little bit of acting, as it were. When you are doing that, it's okay to do multiple takes of the same thing. And directors or producers, however you want to view yourself in this one, coach these people up. They're not psychic. If you want somebody to walk faster, tell them to do so. If you want them to have a little pep in their step, or look extra happy, or look extra sad, or look extra hungry at break time, whatever, tell them. So once your B-roll has been taken care of, you can check that off the list along with the interviews. And then the last thing you need to do to complete your Fundamentals of Television final project will be do a couple of stand-ups. Stand-up open and stand-up close. So from a camera operator standpoint, keep in mind you want this person to, again, look as good as possible, similar to the interview. Keep in mind all of those shot composition goals. Do not give this person too much headroom just because you want to get signage in the background. That's going to make them look smaller, look kind of weird. You want their headroom to be just like it would be for your interview subject as well. Get them roughly from the belt up, maybe a little bit more, possibly a little bit less. Play with that a little bit, see how that works. But also, you want 2 very different backgrounds for the open and the close. Make sure that you get some distance between the subject and the background. Get a good dynamic background for that person, and again, put some distance between your reporter and that background. Don't just put a wall back there. It's no fun. That's not interesting. Find something good. Get outside again if you can, and pay attention to the shadows and all the light hitting this person's face. Now, speaking to the reporters, the important things for you to remember are this isn't your live reports. This isn't a live shot. You've got as many times, as many takes as necessary to get this thing right. Look at this video. If you could see the behind the scenes, I've cut this for about an hour. For this WNLD, sorry, can't all be money. And that neutral density filter if you're going outside. And don't forget to check and see if there's any sort of ghosts in your top lights or any of the equipment. Looks really good after the edit, but no one knows that. No one knows how many times I've messed up, and that's the key. So do it until it's great. Once you get a good one in the can, hey, do another one. You never know how good it could really turn out. So do as much as possible, because again, this might be something you might put on a future demo reel. It's definitely something you're gonna be looking at an awful lot. So you want it to be as excellent as possible. Keep that in mind. Now, as far as content reporters, another thing that's very different from your live reports is the fact that this thing does not have to time out between 45 seconds and 1 minute. the way that your live reports did. Don't feel obligated to go that long. If you can do something quickly and succinctly in 15 to 20 seconds, that's great. If you can do it with the proper energy, the proper tone in 15, 25 seconds, that's fine. Whatever it takes, whatever it is, whatever you're most comfortable with. And again, do as many takes as possible. But the important thing is, for the intro, you're going to be previewing what your audience is about to see, basically a day in the life of this individual. And then for the outro, keep in mind, totally different place, totally different background. You're gonna be summarizing basically everything that your audience just saw, everything that the interviewee talked about, all the B-roll that you just showed them, and you'll just summarize everything to your audience and leave them with a good, happy feeling. Don't forget to smile. Smiling is the best possible thing you can do on camera. It opens up your audience to you. I know it can be a little awkward, I know it can be a little weird, but a good smile starting things off and ending is exactly what you need to do. So get out there and shoot everything you need. Have fun, guys.